In today's episode of Unsolved Mysteries, we're going to be diving into a weird disappearing case from Berea, Kentucky, known as the Brookelyn Farthing Disappearance. What's interesting about this case is that an 18-year-old girl mysteriously disappeared after staying at a man's house, only to discover that the home has been burned down the following morning. So, who is Brookelyn Farthing? How did she disappear? Also, was there any foul play involved in her disappearance? These are questions that still need answers, but let's dive deep into the clues to come up with our own theories and speculations. Let's get into this case now. Born on August 26, 1994, Brookelyn Shea Farthing from Kentucky was attending a birthday party in Berea with her sister Paige and cousin on the night of June 22, 2013. Brookelyn, at the time of her disappearance, was an 18-year-old blonde with brown eyes, pierced ears, and a birthmark on her left hip, who was around 5'1" in height and approximately 105 pounds in weight. According to Brookelyn's sister, Paige, she is described as a splunky, to tell you how it is, a lovable person. She loved animals and the outdoors, but she was a truly girly girl who loved pink and camouflage. She would do anything to help anyone. She had the sweetest, deep, long, country-sounding voice you can only find in Kentucky, end quote. Sounds like the description of a typical girl here in Kentuckiana. As mentioned before, on the night Brookelyn Farthing disappeared, she went out with her younger sister and cousin to a birthday party. Shortly after arriving, her cousin and sister decided to leave early. Brooke had made plans to spend the night with a close friend and had taken some things with her for that. However, those plans fell through because of a disagreement that ensued between them. Her friend wanted to spend the night at a boy's house, and Brooke just wasn't feeling it, so she ended up staying at the party. At the end of the party, Brookelyn was seen leaving with two men in a car. One of the men was eventually dropped off at his home, and Brookelyn followed the other man to a home located in the 100 block of Dillon Court, just off the US Highway 421, that had no electricity or running water as it was in foreclosure. At around 4 a.m., Brookelyn called her younger sister, Paige, to see if their cousin could pick her up. However, the cousin had been drinking at the time and was unable to drive her home. She then called her ex-boyfriend for a ride since he worked a third shift job, and luckily, he agreed to pick her up once he got off work. Sometime later, she sent a few texts to her friends that she was, quote, scared, and to her ex-boyfriend asking him to hurry up and pick her up. Then strangely, the last text she sent to her ex-boyfriend at roughly 5:30 a.m. stated, quote, never mind, I'm okay. I'm going to a party in Rockcastle County, end quote. When he asked who she was with, he received no response, and unfortunately, that was the last time any of her family members or friends have ever heard from her ever again. Because the following day, Brookelyn failed to show up to plans she made for that day, and after 2 p.m., her family became worried and started making calls. They eventually obtained the number of the man whose home she went to. However, during the phone call with her family, he gave two stories as to what happened, sparking a lot of suspicion in the case. According to the Kentucky police reports, the man who owned the house stated that he left to take care of a horse as he felt, quote, uncomfortable to be present with a friend's ex-girlfriend. When he left, he said she was sitting on the couch smoking, but when he returned at 7 a.m., the house was on fire and Farthing was missing. However, her cowboy boots, purse, and some clothes were still there, and the only item missing was her cell phone. She has never been heard from again, and an extensive search of the area turned up no sign of her. The house fire began on the couch and almost completely consumed it, and burned a hole in the floor underneath, but it was extinguished before it got out of control. But the Kentucky police ruled this story to be suspicious because the man who owned the house was in the process of moving out, and as a result, utilities to the house had been turned off for weeks and there was no electricity there at all. Hence, investigators believe that Farthing may have been taken against her will, and they think the last text message sent from her phone to her ex-boyfriend was actually sent by someone else. In the days following her disappearance, a massive manhunt was underway. Cadaver dogs were brought in, but nothing came of it. Investigators believe that the fire in the home was staged as a distraction, as they confidently do not believe that she started the fire herself. Her ex-boyfriend also states that he doesn't believe the last text message he received from her was from Brookelyn, but rather from someone else. But unfortunately, she has never been seen since, and the so-called man that Brookelyn stayed with at around 4 a.m. was not charged due to the Kentucky police not having any conclusive evidence to incriminate him. 1 year after Brookelyn's disappearance, her parents hosted a benefit at the Madison County Fairgrounds to help raise money for the reward fund. Their goal was to double the amount available from $5,000 to $10,000. It featured a car show, a silent auction, and live music from the Stillwater Band and Doug Thomas and the Downtown Deuce Band. Kits were also made available for parents wishing to register their kids in case of an abduction. The family also set up a website with information about the case and links to where tips could be sent in, as well as setting up a page on Facebook called the Missing Brookelyn Farthing. The Commonwealth's Attorney's Office has been seeking information from the case file. They have confirmed their continued interest in the case and are in constant contact with investigators. Officers have followed countless tips and examined the case file for things that might have been missed or overlooked during the initial investigation, and they say all tips continue to be followed up on. The case still remains open and active, and it's believed someone in the community has information as to what happened to Brookelyn Farthing. There is currently a $14,000 reward being offered for information leading to her return or the capture and conviction of those responsible for her disappearance. Overall, the disappearance of Brookelyn Farthing is very suspicious and tragic. It doesn't seem to make sense that an 18-year-old girl would suddenly disappear from a house that was burned literally moments after. Whether foul play was involved or not, the Farthing family still miss their daughter to this day, as they are currently on the search for her, and they are willing to pay a hefty reward. So, was Brookelyn truly taken against her will on the night of June 22, 2013? If not, where would she disappear off to? Also, more importantly, is she still alive? These are questions that still need answers, hence why this case is still unsolved. Hey guys and gals, this is Mr. Shin Ramen, and I just want to thank you for making it this far. Did you enjoy the video? If so, it would be greatly appreciated if you can leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel for more future content. Till next time, stay safe and stay scared.